I think the harder part is really we grew both organically. We're the fastest growing insurance brokers in the country. We also grew inorganically, partnered with like 35 different firms. When you call an insurance company, when you need a coverage or when you're in trouble.
Yes.
So being there at the moment of truth is how you develop your trust. I think it's very natural to obviously stay tuned to the technology shifts and trends and solutions that are coming in the marketplace. More importantly, experimenting hands-on yourself, not just seeing and watching or reading, right? I think that's very important.
Yeah. Raj, thank you for coming in and welcome to Atomic Conversations.
Thank you for having me, Saram.
We are delighted to have you. I think as a sort of introduction, like this is a series of conversations with CIOs that we have been having, and we're glad to have you on. I wanted to start off with something, and we were just talking before. I think you're one of the few, leaders we have been talking to who have led technology across industries like finance, banking, and insurance. Like, what do you think is the common thread between these?
Yeah, I think sometimes you think it's all planned. Nothing is planned that way, right? So in terms of a career or anything, I think if think of the common threads, it's really being able to build super strong teams. I think that because then you get the teams and that chemistry that go with it that make it happen. I think the other one is really around true problem solving of what's really important for that sector or industry, right? I think understanding that domain is super critical, even though technology is sort of same across the board. I think that domain and context is very critical across the board. I think that's it's not common across these industries, but for anyone to be successful, that context and domain is super critical there.
Yeah, that makes sense. But as soon as I asked that question, I think like I should have phrased that slightly differently. What problems are you drawn to, right, with these? Like I presume like that's what is the common thread, right? What sort of problems are you drawn to then?
Yeah, I'll give an example of one problem statement. I was in GE Research for a little bit, and that was my first job. Didn't know any better. So they gave us a project, and not knowing any better, a couple of us actually made a product out of it.
Wow, okay.
So I didn't know anything about Agile, didn't nothing about product methodology, design thinking, none of it, right? We just went with the common sense approach. We had a tech, my other partner was super techie than me, and I was acting the techie and the business analyst, and we made it. That's it, right? So I think sometimes you just go with the flow.
Yeah.
I think when you go to the other, as you get into leadership roles and all those items, it's really about connecting the dots to the larger purpose of the or whatever is objective for the rest of the team. I think bringing that, we always follow what's called a two-in-the-box model, which is really before we know all these methodologies and all that stuff.
Yeah, like
tech team.
What model did you say?
Two in the box.
Two in the box. Okay.
Two in the box. That's I got it from one of my previous leaders. I learned this, and it's like the business savvy technologist and the technology savvy business person sitting together and making things happen, right? I think that's a common thing that will help solve any problems and bring the cross-functional teams together. So you can crisscross any industry for that matter.
No, that's actually very like I don't know if I've heard this, but like the technology friendly business person and the business
savvy technology
person. I think that if you add this in any sort of like combination, you'll probably have a solution. Yeah, some kind of solution.
And bring the cross-functional team together between the two of them, and you solve any type of problem.
Lovely. Is that sort of like also what drew you to Baldwin? Like in a sense, like is a similar kind of problem or like?
Yeah, Baldwin is slightly different. I worked. This is probably the smallest firm I've worked in, and I worked in large global enterprises before. And I was drawn to it because of two things. One is ability to build something from the ground up. That was the most attractive piece, and the second piece is really about the cultural aspect of the firm. So it's amazing culture, and I think between the two of it, that's what drawn to the firm, and we've been fortunate to draw and attract a really good team
Yeah.
and build it from scratch. I think it's almost like startup within the company.
Yeah.
That's the experience. I managed large teams in, I mean, at one point I had teams in 6 countries, but this was like you're bringing from the ground up. I think that was the biggest draw for me.
Yeah, makes sense. Like, the thing with Baldwin that I'm also really interested in is it's not a technology, sort of like native company, as opposed to, for example, the larger firms
Like
that
the
you've
product
worked at.
companies, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like there's not a lot of explaining to do, like in terms of like your role. Everybody understands, what you're bringing to the table and like what you're gonna do for like all of them. But here, especially when you're like driving DT, like transformation across, how difficult was it or how easy was it across a different culture, like Baldwin?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest thing was the leadership was very tech forward. I mean, you're not selling the need to have technology in the process. I mean, they just didn't know the how piece of it, right? So they know the why.
Yes.
So I think which is really, really hard in a lot of other firms. I think that helped in a big way, and drawing in the right experts across the team. I think we were able to get the what needs to be solved and how it needs to be done. That is something we brought from a lot of other experiences. I was able to do that. I think the harder part is really we grew both organically. We're the fastest growing insurance brokerage in the country, in the US, and we also grew inorganically. We sort of partnered with like 35 different firms, which brought in different processes, systems, people, all of that. I think that was not an easy thing to make it into a uniform entity. So that's a big challenge that we had to sort of solve for.
But I think that was the enjoyable part as well, right?
Yeah, that was super good because one is building things from ground up, and then being able to bring all these different cultures together, different teams together, and different systems, processes, all of that. I think not a lot of firms have done that at the pace that we did, especially in the insurance space. We probably have one or two in the entire industry who were able to create one platform.
Lovely.
Across the board. When I say one platform, I mean the whole tech stack, a lot of process standardization. We didn't do all process standardization, but at least on the tech side, we were able to complete all of that stuff.
Yeah. I also liked how you said like people understand why they have to do the things they have to do in like in IT, but like the how of it is what we have to bring to the table. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I also wanted to like just to dwell on that point. It's a sidebar, but then is there urgency right now? Like when you say that here's a whole platform that you've like implemented and like everybody's like taking to it. Is there an urgency right now in the ecosystem for platforms that do the job entirely? And is that urgency coming from AI? I know it's like I'm trying to like answer as well as like, but like I'm going to put it there. But then, is it AI or is it something else?
Yeah, I think it's more. There are two factors. One is a market situation. I mean, you want to grow fast, continue to grow fast, but also really be better on your operational efficiencies from a margin improvement standpoint. I think that those are huge drivers.
Understood.
And then whatever we call the toolkit, AI is part of the toolkit. We were calling it Intelligent Automation Toolkit, and AI is a part of it. And that people have seen the power of it and experience it in their own lives every day. So it's like, hey, can we get these things faster with the new tech that we have? I think that's the combination of those two coming together, not AI by itself. It's always the business drives.
Yeah.
Business drives it, and then what are the tech that can help get to the business objectives? I think that's the driving factor.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like, are you seeing this among your colleagues as well? Like, I mean, obviously, you are very well known and well connected, in like experienced CIO circles, and like you're a leader among them. Are you seeing that same urgency play out across?
It's different from industry to industry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, different from industry to industry, depending on, I mean, if you're in banking or super heavily regulated, I think
Okay.
people are taking a little bit more cautious approach, right? And some of them didn't open doors for the basic stuff on using the Gen AI stuff. While AI has been in use for a really long time, fraud detection,
Yes.
credit decisioning, all of those things, it's been in use.
Yes.
But it does, the context does matter.
Yeah.
But there are industries where I think insurance is one of them, which I think where this can be a leapfrog moment because there's so much of, let's say, outdated type of things. You can actually do a leapfrog using the new tech to get into the much more modern environment without the legacy baggage.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's a big advantage.
Yeah, that's interesting. Also because I think it's sort of like the mobile phone movement.
That's a landline to mobile phone analogy.
Yeah.
I think most of us talk about that comparing to India. It
Yes.
It's, many industries have that leapfrog movement right now.
And I think like especially in IT, we're seeing that right now. Like I didn't come to that. I think like, I actually had thought about this a long time ago, but I hadn't like put it in this phrase. I think, I think what you were saying exactly sort of fits that mold. One thing that we, came up in in the research we were doing, Raj, like, you've talked about, and this is in like another interviewer, I think, where I read something that you've written, I'm not exactly sure, but you've talked about building above the surface versus below the surface tech stacks. Can you talk us through that philosophy you have? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we rolled out what's called a digital operating model. It's really based around multiple stakeholders. End of the day, your clients, colleagues, and the trading partners that you work with. In our case, the insurance carriers. So those are our keys and the communities that we work with. And from that perspective, your below the surface is your technology digital backbone stuff.
Understood.
Nobody cares about it. I mean, you got it, but it's so critical to have it right. The foundational from a security, from a scalability, and ability to run the trains. That's so important that you get that right, so that the more focus can be put on what's really important to drive experiences for your clients and colleagues. I think that's the above the stack, above the surface type of items. That's where you're creating delightful experiences for your clients and colleagues, right? So that's the distinction between those two when I call it that way. And our first chapter when we brought together all the firms was get the right foundation in place across the board, and also unify everything onto a single sales platform, servicing platforms. It may not be perfect, but at least you got in one place to start off, and then you go and refine things above the surface based on the client journeys. So that's what I think you're referring to when the phrasing I was using.
It was also interesting to us because that's one of the things that we built, Atomic Works idea on, like in the sense that people don't really care what's underlying, especially like the users, right? Don't really care what's the underlying tech stack you're bringing, as long as there is enough clarity in how they can use it and ease in how they can use it. And I think that's what drew me to, like, I was like, okay, this is perfect to explain what we're attempting to do. So that makes complete sense. But like sort of like drawing a line from there, you've also called like trust and transparency the two pillars of like good tech strategy, right? What does that look like, especially during things like onboarding, like very, very like everyday use cases that you have to like deal with when you're like implementing tech, integration or onboarding?
Yeah, I think trust and transparency I was more using from the sense of the experience our clients and colleagues will feel, right? I mean, take the insurance business. So you need to be transparent around your pricing.
Yes.
You need to be transparent around, is your risk really covered well? So how can you sort of create the data insights to help provide the transparency to your clients?
Understood.
I think that's what I was referring around the transparency. The trust is when do you call an insurance company? When you need a coverage or when you're in trouble? So being there at the moment of, in that moment of truth is how you develop your trust. So how do you sort of show yourself or in being a technologist, provide the toolkit to our advisors and our colleagues to help the clients. I think that's how you further the trust there. I think that's very from a pure business centric approach. And then when it comes to a technology aspect of it, it's really around you're very transparent around what's doable, not doable, right? Because a lot of stuff gets thrown with people.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
And calibrating that jointly, and then really delivering it and putting the points on the board and developing that trust so that you earn the right to do the next thing.
Yeah.
Right? I think otherwise, hey, there'll be 15 technology tools and not delivering value.
Yeah.
I think, that's the technology leader side of the story. You got to be transparent on your approach, strategy, that develops a trust with your stakeholders. Then you continue to put the points on the board.
Absolutely. It also strikes me how important these two, pillars are, especially in Baldwin. Like the business itself runs on trust. Like people are choosing you because there's a certain trust factor, and the more transparent you are, like they trust you even more. And I think that it didn't strike me from the beginning, but then I get why this becomes so critical while you are implementing stuff. I get that completely. So but how do you ensure, and this is something that we are also thinking about constantly, that newly acquired teams feel like part of the same digital ecosystem, right? You can do integrations as much in tech as you can, but how does that feeling come about?
Yeah, I think there are two factors. I'll give. End of the day, we never created a playbook that say, "Thou shall have all these things," right?
Yeah.
So we did the due diligence and in all the cases, looked at what works best in those scenarios and actually integrated those best things for the rest of the enterprise. I think that in itself was super helpful. When you have 30 firms, you do that for 5, the other people see that. So I think that's how we were able to get the buy-in. That was one. Second thing is our CMO led the unified branding across the board, and we were a big part of supporting it from the back end, the technology side of it. Even we were very careful about not losing the brand value of those firms that they already have, but just look at amplifying it. So we were able to complete that unified branding as well, not just the the technology play. So I think learning, we are always learning. Learning from the partners joining us and then taking their best practices is how you were able to weave them onto a common culture and ecosystem.
Very interesting also because marketing leading transformation, I'm so happy about it. But it's not very common. It's not something that we talk about, the CMO has said this and therefore we have to But I think it also shows something that we've also been seeing, in that leadership has to sort of come together. And I think, your contribution to yours and your team's contribution to what marketing is trying to achieve becomes the backbone of something that drives the whole organization forward, right? So how much alignment you have with marketing, with perhaps the CEO's vision, all of that becomes extremely critical, right?
That's super critical. I think we have a very deliberate process. I don't think we are never perfect. We're always trying to improve year over year, where we have some top goals that's aligned at the leadership level from the get-go, and everybody's helping that champion. So I think the first year I was on, I had 5 of them out of 10. And then other people had other things in the rest of the years, right? So I was, sometimes you were in the lead, others are helping you, sometimes you are supporting others. I think that's a cultural thing at leadership level, being super aligned and being able to help each other drive that to success is a cultural thing. That's very unique and awesome thing to have.
No, sidebar again, Raj, because it's very interesting what you say. We've all been part of organizations in which IT becomes sort of a gatekeeper. Especially this is especially true of me. When I say me, I mean marketing. We're oh, this is so exciting new tool. I want to try this. and IT is like, hello, sit, please wait here, and I need this, this, and this, and I'm like, yeah, I have to go and do all of this, right? Now, how do you, how do you sort of like work through that at the at like higher levels, right? Especially because like like a marketing problem is a small problem. Like yeah, sure, like you don't this tool, but that's not business critical, right? When it becomes business critical, and how do you change that attitude if it's there, and how do you get like consensus across the board?
Yeah, I think it's always 80-20. 80% of the time, our planning and strategic planning process helps with that alignment from the get-go. That way, everyone's focused on those and getting that done, because you don't have infinite resources. You're trying to get things done, right? And 20%, it's always an outlier. You'll have things coming, changing all the time. I think as long as you agree to some enterprise guardrails, I think, and making clear that these are the ones that we will abide by, right? Example, if you take the architectural principles, hey, you need to own the data, you need to own the security, you need to own the experience. Very simple. It doesn't matter whether it's a SaaS platform or something you're building or you're just buying. As long as you can adhere to some basic principles like that, yeah, that makes it easier for people to know. So I think educating people around those guardrails and then being able to support them during those things would be helpful.
No, that's very interesting. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, I think that alignment is super important. And it's not like the other piece is, I mentioned the two in the box. So the tech leader assigned to that function is directly in the team meetings of those particular function or the business line, right? They are more part of that particular function on the business line than
Absolutely.
just the technology team.
Absolutely.
I think they are watching for that and helping those leaders be successful. I think that's their thing. So, and that trust, when they have that trust between those leaders, they can also push back to, and that's taken with in the right way.
Yeah. So. No, makes complete. That's probably very useful for people listening. I think that trying to get consensus, like everybody's trying to solve that at one point or the other. But I like how you've made that simple.
Yeah, and having said that, we always find things, surprising things that people have already done.
Yes.
And then we'll go clean up. So there's no landscape that's perfect, but we try to go the 80-20 route.
That's big culprit sus. Like I presume at some point or the other, you've always run into some marketing team that has got some tool that
it's not just marketing.
Yeah. But like I put my hand up, like we are the biggest culprits, like because we love tools. We are constantly trying to add something or the other. But yeah, that makes complete sense. So one thing that, again, like this is something we've like stalked you a little bit. So we've seen interviews and all of that. So I know how passionate you are about automation in general. But not just for efficiency, like this is something that, you've also spoken about. So like how have you, adopted it at Baldwin, like, and like what kind of difference has it made?
Yeah, I think I'll give probably a couple of examples. One is related to, when I say automation, we stood up a complete brand new business line with obviously technology. That's a business line, embedded insurance, that didn't exist before when I joined. One of my super awesome leaders on my team, Stephanie, and her product partner, Bryce, they led this one and created a complete new business line with technology.
Nice.
The whole goal was, how can you sort of, in the client journey, you don't have to have a lot of human touch point, but able to process it from end to end, right? And only have the advisor when you need to have them in the play. You still need the advisor in complex scenarios, but I think creating that, taking the client journey, a client-centric journey approach, and then go about it one-to-one, questioning the whys. Why can't this be done in a complete automated way? I think that's something which we have built. It's like a startup in the company, actually.
Yeah.
When you think of it, we created that startup in the last 3 years, and it's already getting tens and millions of revenue there. So that's one. And then a larger business units, which is on the commercial side, there's so much of low-hanging fruit because of some of the archaic processes that we were using.
Yeah.
So we were able to apply some of the toolkits, the standard stuff, to automate a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And document intelligence is another big thing.
Oh, yes.
We deal with a lot of documents in
Yes,
insurance.
yes.
So having our team developed some of the document intelligence platforms riding on top of Gen AI and other hyperscalers. So that capability itself will help every point in the life cycle of the insurance value chain. So those are some horizontal stuff that we were able to deploy along with creating a whole automated business line.
That's a great answer, but how do you keep the human touch? I know you also wanted to have that, because especially in something like, something that can be a little bit like straight up, here's a question, here's an answer, documents, right?
Yeah.
How do you keep that human touch? And are you interested in keeping that human touch? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, it's not necessary that you have to have it.
No, it is very necessary.
Okay.
Because I talked about, when you talk about the trust factor.
Got it.
That's where it comes in.
Understood.
So I'll give the before and after, or we're not done with all of this yet. It's still iterative. So let's say the before process is around. Actually, let's take even atomic work example.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, you guys are a client of ours.
Yes, I know. Yes.
So the persona in this scenario is, this is come under the founder type of thing and the small business side.
Yes, correct.
So it's a complete digital experience. You don't, I mean, no one's, Vijay is not looking to looking to call somebody. He doesn't, probably he may not want to.
I agree.
All, right?
I agree.
There you have a complete digital experience. When it comes to your larger clients, and let's say if Vijay wants to deliver employee benefits to all the thing, we have to sit down with you, take you through the options of, here's how you package your benefits. Here are the options. What are your objectives? Creating that, co-planning it and co-creating that plan that customized to your firm, that requires a discussion. You cannot automate that.
Yeah.
I think you can automate it, but to an extent, but you still need to have the conversations with the options.
Yeah.
I think, so that is super critical.
Yeah.
That advice piece is where I think any of the firms who are more client-centric will differentiate.
Lovely. So. That's a great example. I love the story, and I think it explains out everything. There's like another, like, just like from that question, how is there a difference between like colleague experience and client experience? Like I'm just catching the client experience question there, so I wanted to ask this. But how different would you design it, or would you think of it as the same?
Yeah, it is. It's a classic "it depends" answer, but the reason is, in case of digital savvy clients and the personas, the personal lines and the small business side, they almost want 80-90% automated. Digital natives are there, right? So that's where the client experience becomes super thing. But for the commercial clients, we more over-index on improving our colleague experience, because they will be interfacing with the clients. As much as we can make their job easier.
Understood.
Then they can be
understood.
Serving the client.
Understood.
That's where the context is a little different depending on the situation.
Yeah, understood. No, that makes sense. I wanted to go back to, like, one of the questions we were talking about, and the how and the why of things, and especially in a team like yours, which now works across the organization, there's a lot of alignment that you have to drive. There's a lot of discussions, and then it has to come to you and you're taking decisions. How do you help your team especially stay close to the why behind the work? Otherwise, what will happen is these teams need this leader needs this. Let's just tie these things together and it works, right? But how do you make sure that they understand the why of it? And sort of especially because these things take longer. As you are also saying that whatever you're trying to implement has been going on for a while and still going on, right? These are not like 1 month projects.
Overnight
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
So how do you like help your team stay close to the why of it?
Yeah, I think that's where a couple of things help. I said before, we have tech leader aligned to the function, right? That they're an extension of that
Yes.
function of the business
Yes.
team,
Yes.
right? I think that helps. And we have also put in product teams in play that help get the user feedback and be the voice of that colleague or the client. I think that's again, we've been maturing. We never had a product owner manager 3 years ago when I joined.
Okay.
We put that into practice, and in some cases we are doing extremely well. In one case we are still maturing. So I think between those two, that really helps us stay tuned to the why. And they're together between the two. They're in all the PI planning stuff. They're in conveying that to the teams all the time. And we try to stick to the strategic priorities on the top strategy house. So between all of that, we try to make it align.
Nice.
So, again, all plans come to doesn't go well all the time.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with that in a trusted environment is more critical.
Nice.
So,
yeah, that makes sense. I think one of the things that, if there's anything to take away from, the conversation, it's a lot about the alignment. I think one thing we have spoken about through, the entire conversation is how to bring about that alignment and how to, concentrate on the why. So that's one of the things I wanted to speak about. So I'm glad. I had a couple of last questions for you. Like, what trends are you watching closely? Like, as a CIO, and this is interesting, not just to like us as a organization, but also like specifically to the marketing team. Like we are also thinking like, what are CIOs interested in right now? So what could it be?
Yeah, I think it's very natural to obviously stay tuned to the technology shifts and trends and solutions that are coming in the marketplace, right? And more importantly, experimenting hands-on yourself, not just seeing and watching or reading, right? I think that's very important.
Yeah.
That's one from obviously a lot of AI things happening. So that's one. I think much more than that, I feel like there's a complete change in how work gets done. It's not about previously, it's about, hey, how can we be productive X%, Y% type of thing. I think with the new technology shift, particularly AI driven, it's not just being efficient or being productive. It's really the whole system of work is changing.
Yes.
Or will change very shortly, right? You have to almost like, if you're running a business today, or if you're starting to create a new business, you have to look at from the ground up. You need to be ready to tear things down and build from the ground up. Otherwise, that's huge disruption.
Yeah.
I think that system of work itself is changing big time. That is a big trend, and it means different things to companies, different things to individuals. I mean, even if you're a technologist or done product development before, I mean, with the new toolkits that's coming in, almost the same roles may not exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the whole timeline and how you get products out the door is really compressing, and you don't need all the 2 pizza teams that you had before.
No, absolutely.
Right. So again, that's an example to say it's not about being just productive. It's about the whole system of work is changing. Whether you're in software development or whether you're in insurance or some other industry, I think you got to think about rewiring that whole thing.
No, absolutely.
Not just incremental.
No, absolutely. I think especially because this is an IT podcast and people are listening to you to learn something. That we have like a good audience of like younger IT leaders, right? And just to harp on the point that you just made. Everything is accelerating. Everything is fast. There's a lot more adoption of these things, and you need to be aware of everything. You've seen several cycles, but what should a younger leader or like aspiring IT leader be thinking of today, right? There is just so much going on that maybe just, I mean, how do they navigate this and how do they navigate growth?
Yeah, I think there are two things. People need to be a business technologist first, especially if you're, I mean, that's different. I'm talking about like technology leaders in the firms, type of firms that I work in, right? If they're a product player,
Yeah,
they need to
that's
have
different.
the deep product expertise. There are a lot of other things, technical expertise. You got to get those. But if you're in some of these firms that you work as a technology leader or technology professional, you need to really get the business knowledge in a super big way, because the tools are there
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
and you can apply the toolkit to those problem statements. But more importantly, I also noticed a trend where people just want to become a team leader and get a hierarchical. That those roles will become super irrelevant.
Yeah.
You got to be business savvy. You got to be super deep on the technical side.
Yeah.
Don't let go of that technical aspect of it. I mean, I keep learning a lot. Try to stay in touch with all the new stuff happening, more so now than, let's say, in my previous role as well. I think that everybody need to keep the technology edge for sure.
No, that's great advice. I'm underlining. There's no time or space for complacency right now, right? Fair. Like, just to end, like, could you recommend like a book or like a couple of books for us? It doesn't have to be about IT or anything, but anything that you think that you've been reading and you think is good.
Yeah, I think two classic ones. Obviously, a lot of people have read this. This is the growth mindset.
Yes.
I think that helps both personal level as well as the professional level.
Lovely.
Right. I think then there's the 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel. So that's like, how do you create from think like startup, right? I think yeah, two different, both from help the mindset perspective and how you need to move fast and scale up and solve and know whether it's a hit or a miss.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
I think those are good ones. And actually, the one with Netflix, I'm forgetting the name of the book.
The culture.
Yeah.
On the Netflix culture, yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great. I never read it. It's an audio thing. I listened like 2 or 3 times. It's an amazing listen as well from a cultural standpoint, and how do you sort of trust the actual colleagues to get things done, right?
Lovely.
So, yeah.
No, we'll link all the 3 books at the bottom of the podcast. Thank you so much, Raj, for coming on. I enjoyed the conversation, and I presume our audience will as well. Thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you. Really appreciate it.